This section of my firm's website is dedicated to workers' compensation law. The American legal system has its roots in English common law. Originally, the king, and then later courts, were ruled by the common customs of the people and rulings that had been set down before. In other words, our courts based their rulings and interpretation on the decisions of earlier judges. Workers' compensation law is different. It's a 20th century creation, so it doesn't exist in the common law. If you were to sue your employer at common law, you would have to prove your employer was negligent and that you yourself were also not negligent. Our legislature thought this put an unfair burden on the employee who would not have been hurt if he or she was not employed and making money for their employer. So, workers' compensation law was developed. Essentially, it eliminated fault. If an employee is injured while operating within the course and scope of his or her employment, the employer is liable regardless of fault. Because fault was eliminated, the trade-off is that the actual compensation is less than you might get from a jury. An artificial standard of compensation was developed based upon a system of 400 weeks of disability. For example, if you lose a leg, your claim would be worth 207 weeks. Or if you lose an arm, it would be worth 232 weeks. The compensation is based upon a percentage of the state's average weekly wage or 2/3 of your weekly salary, whichever is less. Generally, you will be paid in one of four ways, which they call benefits. The first workers' compensation benefit is medical, where the employer and/or its insurance company pays all your medical bills. The second benefit is temporary total disability payments, which are generally paid weekly while you're unable to work. The third benefit is permanent partial disability payments, which are also paid in a lump sum after you're able to return to work but still have some disability. And lastly, the fourth workers' compensation benefit is permanent total disability payments, which can be paid weekly or as a lump sum when you're no longer able to work because of your injuries. Please understand this last category also includes death benefits if the employee is killed on the job. You need to know that due to legislative changes that took place in 2005, there are significant issues even if you were indisputably injured on the job. Prior to 2005, the law required that workers' compensation statutes be applied liberally in favor of the employee. Now it's the exact opposite. The law must be applied strictly, something which often favors the employer and their insurance companies. Of course, the insurance companies and their lawyers drafted this legislation. So it's very important that you hire a competent attorney who is aware of these changes and who is familiar with the case law interpreting these changes, or you'll be at a serious disadvantage. Please choose carefully. To learn more about lawyer advertising, please click on the link to my free books, and our office will be glad to send you your copy so you can make an informed decision. Please refer to this section for additional written information about workers' compensation.